Welcome to the Leading at the Next Level podcast with Dove Development and Consulting, the show built to provide ongoing support for your leadership journey. Now, before we move into today's lesson, let's make sure we're on the same page. We've seen firsthand how much more is required to provide authentic leadership to a team than simply managing based on the authority that comes with a title or position. What we've learned through more than 50 combined years of leadership experience and responsibility is that taking the extra steps to serve people and earn influence will always produce better results than barking orders ever will. And if you stick with us to the end of the episode, we'll share how you can get a complimentary trial to a resource that we've built that's like nothing else you've seen. Now, with that in mind, let's get to work. This episode is the third and final episode in a series on developing a mentorship mindset. In this episode, we continue identifying disciplines that the best mentors have and how those disciplines are demonstrated. Here we go. The third discipline for a mindset of mentorship is that it demonstrates personal success in the areas of mentorship. So this is an absolute discipline that needs to show up in your own mentorship. You know, anyone that is looking at you, they need to see this. But anyone that is a mentee for you, they may ask you, what demonstrates your mentorship and who have you mentored? So this is about giving a return on time to those who mentor us, right? So we need to demonstrate that we have success in areas of mentorship, but they need to demonstrate to us that with this investment that we're making in them, that they're going to give a return on time back to us in this mentorship relationship. And an expectation that on a regular basis, the mentee will be providing examples of how they've applied what they're learning and what they're gaining from the mentor. This adds value both ways and keeps the mentorship productive and demonstrated on a consistent basis. So that's a conversation you would want to have as soon as possible before you mentor someone. If you're already mentoring someone, then switch it up, up level your mentorship. So one of the many reasons that Wes and I provide an executive leadership elite think tank is to demonstrate and facilitate an experience of really what is gained as leaders come together with the purpose of gaining value from one another and adding value to each other and demonstrating how they've applied the value that they're gaining. It all starts with Wes and I adding value to them through a mentorship session that we know is applicable to each person in the room and what they are dealing with at the time, the opportunities that they have. And we also remind them of how much we value them by telling them we value them, but also by giving examples of the actions that we see them taking and the ways that we're observing how they're applying what they're learning from us and what they're doing in the community and other things. This think tank that we provide includes CEOs, business owners, high-level executives, and a specific measurement of success is around the individuals that they need to be providing a size of organization, that type of thing that brings leaders into the group. So within organizations, when we provide this, it's usually the executive team or a leadership team. So either way it's formed up, this session provides experience for their own growth and the growth that happens in their organization when they apply what they're learning and gaining. So we do the same type of scenario in these groups. Then lastly, the last block, we have 4 blocks of time in this session. That was 3 of them. The last block of time we have with them before we all head our separate ways includes specific questions that they answer for themselves, then to help them take action on and apply what they've gained in the session that really enables them to head out with those specific action steps that will add value to their organization where they implement the action steps. So it's a powerful session, and I share those with you in this example because it gives you a structure that you can model that by. I'm going to give you an example. And even though we expect them to apply what we're sharing with them and what they've decided to take action on, Wes and I take action on more than we expect them to take action on. And we work to give more in that session than we ever expect them to give. So we have got to be consistently giving and being that river of mentorship mentality and an expectation that each person will go out then and demonstrate success and apply the mentorship that we provided there in that session. So mentorship again is this commitment of giving a return on time to those who mentor us and expecting a return on time from those that we mentor. So we need to be able to demonstrate that return both ways to have a successful mentoring relationship. So let's get into the fourth mindset here, the fourth discipline for this mindset. And it commits to proximity and consistency. So mentorship is really caught and taught. You know, that I think that quote from Mark is on your slide, but it kind of captures that idea, right? It's caught and taught. It has to go both ways. And who we learn from absolutely matters. So we think about our children, who they learn from matters, and who we learn from matters. People need demonstration. They're going to be watching us, and they need demonstration more than they need instruction. And people see demonstration by being in proximity. So we'll touch on proximity in this segment first, and then we'll wrap up number 4 here with consistency. So for proximity, when Wes and I first started having a mentor, we were told by our respective mentors, now remember, we're going way back around 2001, that they said, hey, you should just stick with us being your mentor. And we heard things like having more than one mentor would diminish the value of their time that they were willing to take and pour into us. So to get this idea out of the way and recap what I mentioned earlier, this is very flawed thinking. So don't let yourself get caught in that. No one person, like I mentioned, could possibly be good enough to mentor you in every area that you're going to need. And a mentor should be secure enough to not try to control you in this way. Now, I'm not suggesting that you would have 2 mentors at the same time in the same area. But for example, you may be here having Wes and I mentor you in areas of leadership and maybe effective communication, and another individual mentoring you in investments and financial planning, or mentoring you in your quest to be a playwright or write a book, right, in another specialty area. So you get the idea. But early in our corporate careers, we had mentors locally. And once we realized what a mentor really was, and then we found true mentors, the mentors we had were absolutely life-changing for us. They guided us and gave us valuable advice to be the best individuals that we could be in our careers. And they're wonderful friends still today, every one of them. And we're forever grateful for their guidance and mentorship that they provided. As we got further along in our careers and now in our own business, we found mentorship from individuals all across the country, at distance and not so much locally. Yet we were still, and still do today, maintain proximity to them on a consistent basis, both in person and with technology, even though they're at distance. Because again, you can't be an effective mentor or really effectively be mentored unless you maintain proximity on a consistent basis. So let's move into consistency here, the other half of number 4. So in pulling in consistency, because this is about proximity and consistency, let me give you the law of consistency. And that says motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. And the same could be said of motivation gets you going, discipline keeps you going, right? Both are very true and mean about the same thing. But how many times have you started something excited and energized and determined and with good intentions, yet within a week or 2 or 2 days or a month goes by and somehow life has happened, but your good intentions didn't happen, right? So maybe this sounds familiar. Well, I know that sounds familiar. That happens to all of us, but maybe this next thing sounds familiar. You know, you need and would benefit from goals and goals that you have, but you're no longer motivated to really show up and do the work, right? You know, you have goals that you want to have accomplished within a year, but you're no longer showing up every day to do something towards those goals. So maybe that sounds familiar. Yet if something doesn't change, or maybe you haven't thought about it, but if something doesn't change, you'll likely be in the same or similar spot next year or the year after if you don't put in the work to create change in your life. So we're all there from time to time. And I would even say we're all there consistently if we do not continue to change and grow and build our own life plan. We must be the designers of our own life. So, with this in mind, we need to realize that whatever we start or want to start, we will not stay motivated to do. It's with a high likelihood, we will not stay motivated to do it. That's just how it is. I've heard someone say motivation is like a bath, you need it every day. So it's not one and done, but it is certainly easier to stay consistent in anything, including mentorship, if we find a way to keep ourselves motivated in the process. In the chapter on the law of consistency, and that's in the book 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, there's a success equation in there to stay consistent. So it goes like this. I don't think I have it. Yeah, I do have it on your slide. Motivation plus discipline equals consistency. So it's a whole lot easier to stay disciplined if we're truly motivated. And a simple way to accomplish this is to align your method of motivation to your personality type. So when I realized this, it's helped me so much in motivation in different areas to just push through and stay consistent and get things accomplished. Knowing what fills our tank, what fuels us, gives us the steam to stay on course. If you don't know your personality type and would like to, just ask Wes or myself. We have 2 simple questions to get you some answers on this, and we can support you in learning more at any level that you choose. So making sure that you're including this as a method of motivation helps you stay the course and know your mentor or mentees, and knowing your mentor or mentee's personality type will help you provide an environment that's conducive to staying consistent. So I'm going to give it to you right here, just in a nutshell, but again, you can reach out to us. So for example, are you motivated by results? So do you thrive on results? And if that's you, then you need to make sure that, well, let me back up. If that's you, you're probably getting results. It just might not be in the areas that you want to get results in. Or you may be getting results and not understanding why you're getting the results that you think you should get. So if you are this personality that thrives on results, make sure that you're pausing long enough to take a look at the results that you're getting so that you can identify any areas that you need to change up. But more importantly, so you can actually slow down long enough to see those results, because I guarantee you're getting some good results. This personality is good, and you'll see some results that you're getting. There's 4 different personality types here, just main, we're all a blend. So secondly, to another personality type, are you motivated by having fun? So does fun motivate you? Does it fuel you and fill your tank? Do you need to have some fun along the way to stay motivated? Like if it's really boring and painful, it's hard to stay motivated, right? So if you're motivated by having fun, then let yourself have some fun and make sure that you're doing something fun to recharge, and make sure that you're lightening up and allowing yourself to have some fun in the process. This will fill your tank and make sure that you stay fueled for the journey. So the third personality type, the main type, is it asks the question, is your goal to help others? So if you are doing these things because of the positive impact that it's going to have on other individuals, then you need to make sure that you're identifying these tasks that you have to accomplish, that how it's going to, in the end, or even along the way, most of the time, help and support other individuals. You need to, usually this personality doesn't need to slow down as much as they just need to give it some thought, that how what they're doing and why they're doing what they do, how it's helping other individuals. And so that is fueling your tank, because your tank is filled by supporting and helping others. And then lastly, are you the personality that takes pride in precision and accuracy? Now I know, again, we're a blend of all 4, but we're talking about primary style. So if you take pride in precision and accuracy, then you're wanting quality work. You're wanting to do things right. And you need to take a look at what you're doing and make sure that you're seeing the value in what you do as you're checking off the task, or it may just become a doldrum and you may go slower and slower. Does that sound familiar? That's what happens to me. And if you're not seeing the value and the accuracy and the structure and how this is really coming together as quality work and adds quality to what other people can do, then you won't stay motivated either. Because adding value and providing quality to others fuels your tank. So it's difficult to remain engaged if you have not found a way to add value and appreciate the process. So our fifth and last discipline for a mindset of mentorship is that a mentoring mindset stays humble. A mentor possesses the quality of humility. The more success you have, the more you should work hard to maintain humility. It's humbling when you each get on this session with us and give us an hour of your time and ask for our advice, at the end, and listen to our thoughts and actions and examples and stories. There's really too much talk on success, I think. That's the problem sometimes with social media. It's like a highlight reel of people's success, and there's not enough talk about failures. There's not enough talk about what it took to get there, right? And how everything is uphill. So we need to share our failures more and help others learn and grow and be the example of getting up and going again and going better than before. This is about sharing not only your failures, but how you overcame them as well. So if you do not stay humble as your successes increase, you'll find a gap that you create between you and the people that you're serving, and between you and people that matter to you. And gaps are not good. Leaders and mentors work to close the gap between them and the people that they serve. So you certainly don't want to be creating a gap. I had a couple of mentors much earlier in my corporate career, and about a year or so apart, that worked hard. Remember, I said that early on I had to figure out what a real mentor was. But those mentors that I had early on, they worked hard at mentoring others to create fans, but not friends. And at that time, this was one of my first mentors, and it wasn't a good experience, as you can tell. But I didn't see that humility there. So I really was excited to put this lesson together to get this out for anybody who wants to hear it, so that they can see before they have the wrong mentors, honestly, and they can have mentors that have their best interests at heart and will, for that precious time that we spend with them, will help them move forward and help them be successful. So as Wes and I train others and coach and mentor, we learn something from everyone. And not only do we get to meet incredible people in this world, but we learn something from them on a consistent basis. And we never take that for granted. People are amazing. And if you truly open up and share experiences, you'll be amazed at how much you learn and will grow in the process. A recent article from Harvard Business Review reminds us of this, really. And it's titled, "Mentorship is not a one-way street." So you've got some of that quote on your slide. It says, if we're mentoring properly, each person not only benefits, but each person stays humble as they give and gain from one another. And then it goes on to talk about how this is an absolute quality that true effective mentorship must include. As a matter of fact, I read a Forbes article in preparation for this lesson, many of them, but one in particular, and two main points in the article that I want to share with you here quick, are that mentoring others doesn't just expand the mentee, but it also expands the mentor's horizons if you let it. And really how mentoring, it's just different examples of how mentoring makes you a better person. And in reading that article, so many experiences came to mind of individuals who mentored me and individuals that I've mentored, and how this has been just right on point both ways. A mentor who is actively really contributing to the success of another person, they really win themselves in this act of giving and in realizing growth within the mentee. And this relationship should really push both mentor and mentee outside of their comfort zones. And all that was covered in their article, and I absolutely agree with it. Mentorship is really a secret weapon if you allow it to be. So that really brings us, I've got one more slide I'm going to share quick, but that really brings us to a bit of a wrap up for the framework of mentorship, and then those 5 disciplines for a mindset of mentorship. So what I want to leave you with before I hand it over to Wes is advice for mentors and advice for mentees. So I think I've got 4 or 5 for each, and we'll wind down with that. I'll hand it back over to Wes, just some quick advice. So first, to mentors, okay? So we'll frame our mind that way. Mentoring has to be based on where they are, not where you are. So when we're mentoring, we have to remember that mentoring them has to be based completely on where they are at. Another piece of advice is the biggest mistake a mentor makes is assumption. And that's on your slide because that's a huge one. They think they know what the other person needs, right? So when we start mentoring someone, we'll all do this. We'll catch ourselves assuming we know something, but since we know this advice, we can catch ourselves there and change our mindset and be what that mentee needs. A third piece of advice is a need to be mentored doesn't represent an obligation for you to do so. The fourth one is you can't lead if you can't produce. So what that really says is you have to grow and lead yourself before you can produce other leaders. So before you mentor someone else, we need to take care of ourselves first. We need to make sure that we're growing and we are truly leaders, and then we can mentor others. And then the fifth one here, and I'll switch to mentees, is all compounding in life comes from equipping people. So everything that we do in mentoring, equipping, and training and leading others, it compounds in life. And that's where all compounding in life comes from, is really building other people. So switching to the advice for mentees. Looks like there's 5 here too. The advice for mentees, the first says mentoring has to be based on where you are, not where your mentor is, right? So kind of the converse of that. So mentees need to know that being mentored is based on where they are, so they can give themselves some grace. It's going to take growth and process for them to be where their mentor is, or in whatever area that they're looking to be. The second is be ready to answer the question, why me? So what that means, I'll build that out a little bit, is the mentor should really be asking the person that they're mentoring, or someone's coming, hey, will you mentor me? Is ask them, why me? Make sure that you are the right person, and that what they believe they would gain from you is actually what they would gain from you, and whatever else you package into that. But the mentee needs to be able to answer that question when you ask, why me? Why do you choose me for mentorship? The third piece of advice for mentees is to know what a win looks like. They need, when they are going to take your time to invest in them, to mentor in them, or if you're going to ask someone to mentor you, then you need to know what a win looks like. When you set a goal, when you want to be a certain place, then go ahead and be able to articulate that, picture that, get some help in visualizing that if you need to, but know what a win looks like. Fourth is know where you want to be in 1 year. Anytime we're going to set out to be coached or mentored, you really should know where you want to be in a year, and likely in specific areas. Overall is better than nothing, but we can gain much more than that, especially if we're going to take our time and a mentor's time, or vice versa. We can dig a lot deeper and come up with a lot more than just one area that we want to be at or grow in a year. And then lastly, you are responsible for the mentee. You're responsible to demonstrate consistent growth and bring back to each session how you've applied what was discussed in the previous session, plus ongoing growth and action steps. Thank you for listening to the Leading at the Next Level podcast. This was our final episode in the series on developing a leadership mindset. If you'd like to go deeper into anything we've shared here, or you need continuing education credits, send us an email at admin@dove-development.net, and we'll be happy to hook you up with a 45-day access trial of our complete Leading at the Next Level program at no cost. The full program includes access to well over 100 hours of digital lesson, complete with slides and action-based assessments to help you capture measurable bottom line improvements in your organization, and 2 live sessions each month with Q&A, so Wes and I can help you identify the specific action that you want to take to lead your team more effectively.